Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Meg.
And I'm Matt.
And on this episode of Ger Can Get It, we're going to talk about, can Ger science?
The answer is no.
I think not.
This week on Ger Can Get It.
Beep, beep, boop.
If they gave awards for makeouts on screen or stage, this guy would get a lifetime achievement. He'll find any excuse to get right to sucking face. You honestly wouldn't believe it. Dissecting each and every kiss with tongue. There's only one conclusion to come to. It's that Ger can get it. Ger can get it.
So this week we have brought Matt in as our special physics consultant because he has a degree in physics and he is published in physics and he's smarter than we are in terms of science.
He can physics.
He can physics.
I'm differently smart.
Well, in terms of physics, I don't know. Maybe Rachel is secretly a physicist, but I don't know shit about fuck.
No.
So
I usually
Beep, beep,
dispute
boop.
the Matt's smarter than me. No, just differently smart.
well, in terms of physics, we needed a consultant.
Yes. It's my specialty.
Yeah.
It is my specialty.
Look,
To the winch.
we are experts in terms of Ger and getting it on, but in
Correct.
terms of science, we need some help.
Yeah.
So this week we're watching Outer Limits episode. Season. I just lost it. Season 7, episode 10, Worlds Within. It's from 2001. So this episode, I cannot recommend this. It's so weird. This episode starts off with a lady named Anya Kenway. Really, all that we get to know about her this entire episode is that she has some disability. They refuse to say whatever it is. It might
A condition.
condition.
Terminal condition.
Terminal
TC.
condition.
Yeah.
She suffers from TC.
Yeah.
It's sickness.
Yeah. Terminal bitch attitude.
Yeah.
So she all we really know about her is she walks with a limp. She has a cane. She has a terminal condition, so she keeps mentioning that she has less than a year to live. And based on context clues, she maybe has multiple sclerosis, but like unclear. So she could have benefited from a vampire dog,
Yeah.
I guess. Hashtag forever night. So anyways, she shows up.
This is when we need the Littlest Hobo crossover. Since we established that the Littlest Hobo is in fact a vampire dog.
Is a Carouge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Therefore,
Is it
cure
the
MS.
same vampire dog?
No.
Wouldn't that be amazing? Rachel brought up the idea of like Littlest Hobo being the spiritual sequel to the vampire dog episode of Forever Night. And like, I hated it when she first said it. And now I'm like, you know what? It actually makes everything make a lot of sense. It makes it funnier.
The dog is trying to redeem itself.
Slight tangent to vampire.
We're already off on a tangent.
Mythologies.
Just keep going. Yeah.
If a vampire's hair
No.
hangs in the sunlight,
But
does
not,
it burn?
But not the rest of you?
But not their skin. Like
Just your
I
hair
don't know.
hanging out a window?
like if their hair
Your-
is in the like if the sun is shining on their hair, does their hair ignite, or does it
think all
not
you.
because it's like
Dead tissue.
inner tissue?
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's
just
all
the-
you.
Okay.
That's
Because I was gonna say maybe the dog can go out in the
because
sunlight
he's covered in the
Because
hair.
because he's
Covered in
covered in
hair.
hair.
Yeah, but like Ger has hair on the top of his head. In the episodes when he's in the daylight, he's still smoking it on fire. So I feel like,
Yeah. I don't know. Evil is a metaphysical condition.
Stop it. You know what they should have done in Little Tobo is he wears like a giant hat and like a giant dog coat,
Sunglasses.
and little doggy shoes. Fucking ridiculous.
Well, no.
One of those like harnesses that have an umbrella on top.
Yeah. No. In Hearts of Darkness, like 2 episodes later, we find out that as long as you don't think you're going to burn in the sun, you're not going to burn in the sun.
And the dog doesn't think about
if you
anything, so
believe
he's fine.
hard
Yeah.
enough,
yeah.
you're not going to burn.
So
You
at
don't.
some point, the dog got amnesia
He believes he's a good boy
and
strongly enough.
forgot it can burn in the sun.
We can't use any of
multiple
this.
personity
Stop
disorder.
it. Stop
in
it.
the
Fucking-
dog.
We can't use any of this in the final episode. This is all going to have to be cut.
Never!
The dog is just like, I'm a good boy. And therefore, that's all.
Somebody
Garrett just
told
needed
the
to
dog
believe he was a good boy.
He's
He's like,
he
"Yes, I
believed
am."
it
Yeah.
hard enough
Yeah.
that he stopped
Yeah.
burning in the sun.
That should have been the finale of Forever Night. He's just like, you know what? I am a good boy.
am
And
a
he
good
walks
boy.
out into the sunlight.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That's
Anyways.
canon now.
God, no. You know what? Fuck it. It is. It absolutely is. No one's going to tell us otherwise. The littlest hobo is a vampire, and you can't tell me otherwise. Well, because we established that canonically he might be a Canadian government lab experiment gone loose,
What is it?
or he might
And
be a
there's
Russian
Wolverine.
spy.
Yeah. Wolverine is
In the lab they had Weapon X for Wolverine next to a bunch of vats of littlest hobos. You know what? I would read that comic book series. I'm just putting it out there. Because you know how
Wolverine's puppy.
oh my god! You know how like with Marvel, like they've done so many like tie-in comics that have turned out to be like canon. So like the Kool-Aid Man is actually a canonical Marvel character. Yeah.
Like Santa
Yeah.
Claus
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
canonical DC character.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, there's no reason why they couldn't bring in whoever owns the rights, maybe the CBC, whoever owns the rights for Vampire Dog. And the Littlest Hobo. Like, there's really no reason. There's no reason that they could not have Weapon X, the Weapon X project, being like, well, we failed with human men. You know what we should do? Dogs. Bring in the Littlest Hobo protocol. Like, I would watch the shit out of that. Anyways, Marvel, contact me. So, Anya Kenway is Combo Bitch. She drives into this research facility on her way to see David LaSalle. David LaSalle is the character that Ger plays. And as Rachel mentioned before we started recording, LaSalle is the name of the fake vampire master from the Forever Night episode Stranger Than Fiction. So
Correct.
it never strays far from
always
Forever Night.
comes back.
It always comes back home to where his heart lives.
Can always bring it
He
back.
doesn't give back. He doesn't give a shit about Forever Night, but it goes back to where our hearts live, which is bottom Forever Night. So, Ger has gotten, I was gonna say tricked Anya, has gotten Anya to come to the facility by saying, I have the most fascinating project of your career. I need you to come and see it, which
And then the wink face emoji.
and the wink face, yeah. We've established that like every single line in this entire episode could be used as a metaphor for you up.
Yeah, it's a double entendre. Every single one of them.
Every single
You can
one.
follow almost every line that Ger speaks or
Yeah.
the female
Anya.
person
Anya,
that he
yeah.
talks to,
Yeah.
regardless of whether it's Anya.
Consider me fascinated.
That's right. Yeah, I keep
you
forgetting that
can
line.
follow,
Yeah.
You can follow any of those lines with he hears that all the time or he says that all the time.
You're right. It's double entendre, not metaphor. I have been baking in the heat in here for a while. My brain don't work so good. I also am like a weird chewed up gum baby. Anyways, so he's like, most fascinating project of your career, and she's like, I'm fascinated, and I'm like, oh BDE, okay, what up? So she shows up to the building. She comes out of her car with her cane that Rachel thought was a sword.
I was like, oh shit, is this Highlander?
There can be only one. That would have been amazing.
So this episode could go anywhere.
This really connects to all the points of his career. Like if you
Yeah.
put a little string on a board with it, like it all
Yeah.
comes back to this episode of Outer Limits.
He pulls out a sword, flashes his fangs, and then flies away.
Just choked.
Similar thing that happened with Chris Pratt in Parks and Rec. He has this episode where he talks about the things that he wants to do with his life. His Parks and Rec character is like, I want to tame dinosaurs, and I want to like list of all these things. And then he subsequently starred in movies where he did those things.
I was gonna say he listed out his whole future career and then
Yeah.
just did it.
Yes.
Huh. Good for him. Good for Andy Dwyer.
Yeah.
So this is not a secret Highlander episode, although
God damn it.
that would be fucking amazing.
So much better.
She shows up with
If
her
if
golden
we fan
cane.
fiction hard enough.
If we believe hard enough. Although she does, like, when she opens the door from her car and is, like, leading out with her cane, it is a golden cane. Like,
Yeah.
let's just pause there. It's not like Rachel was like, oh, a stick, like a sword.
No.
No, it is definitely, it is a sass cane. It is
Yeah.
a fashion cane that she brings out. So she goes into the facility. She goes into, like, one of, like, the two sets that they had. And it is a room that is like very much like just ripped off of Star Trek. I bet a bunch of blinking lights will trick people into
it's-
thinking science
It's
happens
Lab
here.
by Lowe's. Like if the lights blink sideways, like side to side or up and down, that's science.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
no one will
science,
question this.
y'all.
Yeah. There are no
Can
switches
confirm.
or writing. Yeah. As a resident physicist, do you also learn a lot from blinking lights and Morse code?
They sue the scientists. It's not about what they do.
They soothe the savage beast.
Yes.
Generally, the lights don't blink unless you're actively doing something with them.
You would
equipment.
think.
You'd think.
You would think.
It just makes you feel productive
Yeah.
to see them.
Well, he needs Garrett needs the blinking lights to not like be on the prowl. He's like, all right, I'm calm now. I'm calm. I can focus on the science.
Suppresses his instinct.
Focus. It calms the savage beast. So he can't ever listen to this. So she shows up and she sees who I can only describe as the physical embodiment of the spirit of 2001. We walk in the room, who is Roy, the postdoc intern. So Roy, the postdoc intern, is a tall, skinny white kid with super gelled up tips, because you gotta. With a bunch of little earrings. And I will say that every time you see him, he has gained a new earring.
Every time you see him, his head turns a little bit more, and
there's
you
more
see a
earring.
new piercing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got the little eyebrow piercing. He's got the little like bottom of his earlobe piercing. He's got the little top of his earlobe piercing. He's cool and hip and grunge in 2001. And he has what I can only describe as a landing strip soul patch. Which is just
And a Walkman.
Maybe
and a
he's
Walkman,
just doing
yeah.
his best.
he God bless him. I know that those earrings like have to be fake because they look like little clip-on earrings.
Yeah.
But that soul patch,
He had to grow that.
It's too bad to be fake.
Can I be honest? Yeah, it is too horrifying for someone on set to be like, you
They
know
had
what
to
we
cut
need?
up 2 pencil mustaches to make that.
And it's just fucking. I couldn't listen to a single word that came out of his mouth because all in my head I just heard soul patch, soul patch. It's just, I just want to like touch it with a razor and be like, "Narp." Just go away, just be gone. So he's there, and
Holy water.
it burns away. Thank you for curing me. So he shows up and he's like, "Oh my God, Anya, Dr. Kenway, I've heard about you. I read your essay on the Bell's interconnectedness theorem, and I sleep with it under my pillow at night, which is the most horrifying thing. Like whatever she wrote, like
It's right next to my porn mags.
yeah, well, yes, that is the vibe that I get. Like I can't even. That's like me being like, "Hey, Ger, I got all of Forever Night, and I sleep with it in my bed at night." Like that's different from I like your work. It's like full on stalker territory.
Yes, because all arousal is non-local.
So first physics fact check. Bell's
Dead air.
interconnectedness theorem.
Yeah,
is a
thank you.
thing,
Please tell us. Yeah.
and it has to do with some requirements on locality versus non-locality when you're making a model for some system, where a system is like some particles shooting through dimensions and connecting spirits with tachyons or whatever.
Just
You know.
spitballing. Random.
But you can consider a system local if you can ignore outside stuff. So like you have a box and something's happening in the box. You can ignore the train passing by. You can ignore the day-night cycle of the Earth. You can ignore gravitational waves from some supernova, whatever. If a system is non-local, you have to take those into account because they can have an effect on the system. So for most things, you can consider them local because outside influences are going to have such a negligible effect. But if you're measuring tachyons crossing interdimensional boundaries to connect a comatose Russian child in another dimension
As an example.
with a pulsating blob of flesh in this dimension, that has to be a non-local system. And so Bell's interconnectedness theorem states that any model of reality that takes into account non-local effects has to itself be non-local, something like that.
Yeah, so it's like tangentially. It's not just like
So
science bullshit.
It's a real science
related.
concept
Yeah.
that they're using as part of the like plot mechanism,
Yeah.
Yeah,
which kudos.
yeah. So it's not just like a bullshit term thrown out there. It like seems to have some tangential relation to like the theme of the episode, to the actual plot. So that was I was impressed by that because everything else just felt like blinking lights, hitting keys, beep boop, boop boop. So anyways,
boop.
so science. So Ger's like, hey, now that you've met the spirit of 2001, you should put on a radiation suit and go into the radiation room, which
No, don't ask
You
what
will
it
be
is.
fascinated.
You'll be fascinated. And she's like,
No trigger warnings
Yeah.
about pulsating blobs of flesh.
yeah, I'm not going to tell you what's in there. And she's like, okay, all right, sure, let me hobble over there. So Rachel pointed out something I didn't notice the first time I watched it, and now I can't unsee, which is they have radiation suits, which first off are not even like closed up suits. It's like a separate helmet hood and a body hood that look like they're made out of like shower curtain material.
Yeah.
But, you know, God bless, they tried. So these radiation suits are not sitting in any kind of like airlock,
Isolation,
any kind of
no.
any kind of antechamber.
They're just hung up like coats.
In the room where everyone has their desks.
Yeah.
So these are irradiated suits that presumably are emitting radiation particles like into everybody. And like Ger is fine because he emits his own radiation. But for everybody else,
It protects him.
it protects him. Yeah. For everybody else, they're all having like what we had, I assume, blackouts and hearing white noise and shit. And Ger's like just typing away his computer, getting his work done.
Why is everybody so weird?
Nobody bothers me here.
Or anywhere.
I love this office.
I can be free at last. So she puts on her totally irradiated suit. She goes into the radiation chamber, which is just more blinking lights. She goes up to this, best I can describe it, is like Snow White glass coffin. And inside the glass coffin is the human hunk of gum and flesh that is URS-28. Which is Sasha, which is the fuck. I keep saying this is the worst thing I've ever seen, and then the Outer Limits is like, hold my beer, and it shows me another worse thing. Like I thought the last Outer Limits episode had something gross in it with the jerky mummies and their one milky eye, but they clearly popped the milky eye out of that one.
The
strap, yeah, yes. Everyone get your vaccine for strep because apparently it turns you into a fucking jerky mummy. A jerky mummy with an extra ovary and full of semen. Anyways, so they clearly... That's not me making that up, Matt. That was part of the other episode. So they...
Oh, God.
Yeah. Jerky mummy full of semen. So, hallowed be thy name. So they I went somewhere in my head. They clearly like popped out their one prop milky eyeball from Jerky Mummy and brought it over here to a hunk of chewed up, spat out gum that is URS-28. Popped the little milky eyeball into that. I don't even know how to I mean, it like chewed up gum is about right. It's got like one eye. It's got clearly a rib cage.
It's moist.
It's fucking moist. It's so damp looking. It's so gross.
Sweaty. Down.
Oh, just. And then it's got this like something where I think where like its hip would be is like going in and out. Rachel, you thought it was his heartbeat,
yeah,
which it could be, but like they keep showing us such extreme close-ups of the chewed up gum blob that it's hard to really tell what you're looking at all. But it has an eye, it has a rib cage, and it has a thing that pulses. And it's URS-28, and it used to, when it was born in 1987, which makes the gum blob my age, which I don't like it. I don't fucking like it. We're watching this wet and horny and sweaty, and then there's the ghost of a little baby child that is my age, little Russian baby ghost boy, and I'm like, I don't need to know how old I was.
Your perspective can fuck right off.
I
I don't want it.
No.
I don't need it.
No, there's
not welcome
there's
here.
there's the Ger of the eternal age, and there's whatever age I am when I watch it, and that's fine, and we don't need to look into this any further. So, gross up gum baby, which you're right, Matt. There's no warning for her. There's nothing. It's just like, you want to be fascinated? Come and see the circus freak, and they just throw her in the room. It's horrible.
It's science.
It's fucking science. God damn it.
See all the needles in it?
So yeah, you're right. It's got a bunch of like thermometer probes just shoved into it, just fucking turkey thermometers. So she comes out, and her whole personality, this Anya's personality, we don't really get to know much about her except that she's a bitch. So it's just cuntitis every scene. Like she doesn't get to like feel anything or react to anything.
She's a scientist.
Yeah, that's what they play. Yeah,
You can tell on account of how she's a bitch to everybody.
yeah. Well, she's
Every emotional bid her coworkers present to her.
shut down. Poor 2001. Poor
Yeah.
Roy.
Yeah.
He's like, you want a donut? And she's like, fuck off, Roy. Do you want to feel a human emotion?
You and your emotions,
Fuck
get
off,
out
Roy.
of here. You better get rid of those if you want to
You can't. Yeah,
maintain this career.
you can't have a job in science and have
And
working
eat donuts.
human emotions. Yeah, man up, Roy. She should have flicked him in the nuts. Like, that is how cruel. She is just, Roy's like, hi, I know who you are, and I'm really impressed by you, and like, I'm a big fan of all of your work. And she just basically like nut taps him emotionally the entire episode. Fucking. Oh, now I'm thinking about when we met Ger, and I was like, hi, we're big fans. Hi.
You didn't even get that far.
I know. I said hi, and then I just went.
The little wave.
I know, the little wave. Why did I do it? Anyways, fucking gum baby. Back to the gum baby. So, we are so on track. So, anyways, she has like no real reaction to this. She's like, oh, messed up human hunk of protoplasm. Guess it's Wednesday. Like,
Sign
she has
me
nothing.
up.
Yeah, science. So she comes out and she's like, what the fuck was that? And Ger's like, oh yeah, that thing was born Sasha Verdimsky in Chernobyl in 1987. We all call him ERS 28, which stands for Unexplained Radiation Source 28, which Ger is very, very proud to explain to her.
Yeah, he's like,
yeah.
that means unexplained radiation source. And she's like, I knew that.
Yeah.
Thank you. And he goes,
You're welcome. You're welcome, baby.
You're so welcome.
Yeah. I know, science.
He does a little half turn. I'm doing such a good job.
Yeah,
He's like, I sounded so sciencey.
I mean, we figure out later why, in this particular instance, he seems to be hitting on her with every breath out of his mouth. But also, it's a Ger performance. So, like, yeah, they didn't really need to explain that for us.
Yeah,
but anyways, he's like, yeah, baby, URS. So, this kid was born in Chernobyl in 1987. His mom was an unwed worker at Chernobyl, which, why you gotta shame her?
That.
Why you gotta slut shame
Because
her?
it's
Yeah.
the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, don't slut shame her. She
the
had
baby would have been
work.
fine if she'd known who the dad was.
Yeah, if he had a job.
She wouldn't have had to work.
Yeah.
If there was a dad around.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier that it would be fucking hilarious if it turned out that Ger was this kid's dad.
Was Dr. LaSalle in Chernobyl in 1986?
That this is sort of like that episode of South Park with Russell. Why can't I think of his last name? Oh my God, Russell
Crowe?
Russell Crowe. Yeah, I want to say Russell Brand. I was like, that's not right. That Russell Crowe, where they're like Russell Crowe fighting around the world. And I was like, Gerwin Davies fucking around the world. And that's when Matt had to leave the room.
Oh, yes, because water went into my airway and up my nose at the same time.
We nearly killed Matt for the joke. I'm
For
so
the
sorry.
podcast, Matthew.
He died as he lived, crying uncomfortably. I'm sorry.
Especially the last year of podcasting.
Welcome.
Don't be a deadbeat dad, Ger. Okay. So, anyway, she's not.
Hey, at least he's there.
At least he's there now. Yeah, sure. So, Ger and his gum baby.
No.
I'm crying. I'm crying so hard. Okay, so Ger slut shames this dead Russian woman. We gotta focus. So he slut shames this unwed Russian woman
Who died of radiation poisoning.
who died of radiation poisoning, and he's like, yeah, she worked at Chernobyl. She gave birth to something that like looked just like this.
It was just like this, but smaller.
Is Rachel, are you okay?
They should have had a baby picture.
Oh my God. Well, I'm going to be honest. You didn't watch the other Outer Limits episode with us, but in that episode, a woman gives birth to something that would look very similar to what this Russian woman would have given birth to. It's like a weird, like, snot shriveled peach. I don't know how to explain it. This weird shriveled up snot sack that, like, frankly, they could have used that. They could have, if they had wanted to do like a what this kid looked like when it was born, they could have just used that same prop. Like, it would have.
I'm just imagining a smaller version of this prop
Pretty much.
with a pacifier.
Oh my God. Oh no.
Why did they put it on life support?
Because it has no brain function. It can't
I know,
breathe
but,
on its
like,
own.
Why did they save it?
Why did they save it? That makes no sense to me. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
They were like, this woman died. It has no parents. It is all alone. She
Yeah.
probably doesn't have health insurance. I'm pretty sure in the U.S. that means you just get tossed into a dumpster.
but it's like it's a fair point, and actually, like, not to like get at all serious for this sweaty, sexy episode of Ger Can Get It, but like,
Oh, no, heaven forbid.
I mean, in terms of like situations in which like an abortion would have been an appropriate remedy, like a situation like this where the thing that you're giving birth to cannot like breathe on its own and has no brain. It sounds like it doesn't have. It's not that it has no brain function. It has no brain. It sounds
Yeah,
like
it's a lump of tissue.
it's a lump of tissue that has like human parts in it.
Yeah.
They don't know when it's born that it's going to be emitting crazy particles and stuff. They just know it's
they
like a
have
lump
no
of whatever.
reason to save it.
And there are situations where, like, if an abortion is not available to you, you have to give birth to a child that is not in a situation where it can survive. And you basically have, like, this cruel situation where there's this child that cannot be on its own. Is never going to grow into an adult, is never going to be able to have any kind of a life. And due to abortion restrictions, you have to give birth to it and basically slowly watch it die in front of you.
Yeah.
So, like, the real world version of this is very cruel and very sad and very upsetting. I don't know why this child. I mean, I don't know, like, Russia in the 80s, if abortion is legal. I should have done that research before this episode, but it didn't occur to me before now.
Well, she was in a coma. She's in a coma for 6 months, and then right before she dies, they go ahead and take the baby out.
Yeah,
Right,
but
they give her a
before
C-section.
that, maybe she would have been able to see that this thing is
Yeah, did
has
they
a lot
not,
of
they didn't do an
defects.
ultrasound?
Yeah,
or anything.
I don't know what would have been available, or
Yeah.
like in terms of if they saw it had all these defects, if they would have allowed an abortion to happen, or when she's in the coma, if they would have been like, well, this
Maybe
woman's
they
in a coma
noticed the
and-
radiation.
Maybe, yeah, maybe they're
And that's
thinking
why they
ahead.
did the C-section.
They read the plot, they read the script, and they're like,
Yeah.
well, we got to let this thing live. But you're
Yeah.
right, like in terms of the world of this story. So in the real world, this is horrifying for like a different reason. But in the
Yeah.
real world, this thing does not live for like 10 more years.
14.
14 more years. Yeah. In
Yeah.
the real world, this thing does not live. But
It's
also,
been on life support for 14
yeah.
years.
But in this world, I don't know. In the world of this story, the world of The Outer Limits, I don't know why it's born in the first place. Why it's like why it's not like taken care of before it being born.
Yeah.
And then why after it's born, they're like, let's put this on life support. What is it that you're keeping on life support? Because in the world of this, it has no brain and has no function.
Yeah.
It's not really a child. It's a bunch of like bodily tissue that's kind of in a big snot shape.
Yeah.
Like what is the purpose of having this thing at all? And they keep it at
It's
Chernobyl.
an interdimensional conduit that
But they don't
tachyons.
know
They
that
don't
when it
know
doesn't
that.
come with a cheat sheet like a Nintendo game when
Yeah,
it pops
that didn't
out.
come out of the vag first.
Yeah.
like a ticker tape.
It was
Oh,
attached
a
to
manual doesn't
it
shoot
was
out
printed
first.
on the placenta.
Breaking news. Breaking news.
I'm just imagining like a little book being thrown out of this woman's vagina, just blurp.
Yes.
It's like, what's that? But yeah. So it's not explained why the whole how the birth, like why of the birth, and then why they keep it around in
Yeah.
Chernobyl for however many years it's in a facility in Chernobyl, and then at some point it's like given to American scientists, and they don't really explain
After the collapse of the Soviet Union.
after
Yeah.
the collapse of the Soviet Union, but it's not explained like why, like they don't seem to. I don't know that they knew that this thing was giving off tachyon particles at that point,
Because it
like,
only has given him off
like
once.
yeah.
Right,
And-
but otherwise it's giving off radiation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like
Its
why?
entire existence.
Why would you? What's the scientific benefit of having this lumpy thing that is shooting off radiation? Like what's
Because they don't know where the radiation's coming from.
Okay,
Radiation
yeah. To try to
usually
figure out
comes
the
from
source.
like fission.
Yeah. Oh, like why it's
Like,
continuing. So it's not just like an irradiated thing like the lab coat.
Right, it's continuously producing
Okay,
radiation.
so maybe that's why it's like an interesting thing science-wise. Yeah,
possibly.
Okay.
Because it's an interdimensional
Could have been why they were
conduit.
monitoring it enough to be able to see the tachyon particles too.
They were looking for the radiation, and then they
Because
see,
you
yeah.
mentioned the only reason they would have caught the millisecond burst of tachyon particles that this thing apparently emitted is if they were looking for it with equipment that we don't currently possess.
Right, with equipment that we don't know how to design to detect tachyon particles, they went ahead and did the theory, built some measuring equipment that they don't know if it actually works because we've never measured tachyon particles,
And then
and
pointed
then set it up.
and then pointed
monitored
it at Gum Baby. They were like,
Pointed
well, if
it at
anything's
Gum
going to
Baby.
put one out, it's going to be that thing.
and then they got a positive reading, and our theoretical or experimental tachyon detector detected tachyons. Did it actually detect tachyons?
We don't know.
Who knows?
I mean, I choose to believe that Ger is an expert in all forms of radiation based on.
You can tell how by the way he types on that keyboard.
Oh God damn it!
Tick, 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 tick. I can compute.
We are. That's actually that is right after this. That is right after
Yeah.
the scene. So
She comes out. She's like, "Damn it, Jim! I'm a physicist, not a biologist."
this whole thing does feel like a discount Star Trek episode. Frankly.
Yeah.
So she sees Gum Baby. She comes out. She's like, "What's that?" He's like, "Unwed mother. What do you expect?"
These things happen.
Yeah, from the Soviet Union. And she's like, is it like, that's like a human being? Like, is it alive? Does it like think? He's like, nah, there's no higher brain function. Totally fine. You can do whatever you want to it. Gum baby. So then he's like, he's trying to show her something on the computer. And like, God bless you, Ger. Like, I know that you're not the best with computers, but God, you tried so hard to like meaningfully type something on this computer keyboard to like make the screen show up whatever you wanted to show up for the next scene. But you type like a penguin, like you typed just like little like hunt and peck and just like like science is happening. I'm touching the keyboard. Science. I was like, oh, okay, good job, man. So at this point, they show that so I just called him Baby Corpse in my notes. They show that Gum Baby is emitting special tachyon particles that could be a new energy source, and that's why they want to study him. Matt, does this make any fucking sense to you? Can you help me out?
So tachyons are things that travel faster than the speed of light, as opposed to bradyons, which travel slower than light. One of the things that is commonly used, I guess, one of the plot mechanisms that commonly makes use of tachyons is time travel, because if you throw in faster than the speed of light velocities into relativity equations, you get negative time out of it. So faster than light travel means backwards in time travel. And so usually you see tachyons when there's time travel involved, which Star Trek has used, and
Ad nauseum.
a whole bunch of plots have used it. An energy source, I mean, you could stick this, you could stick Sasha Ers 28 in somewhere and have it heat up water and power a steam turbine.
Gum Baby water heater.
Like a nuclear fuel rod, if it's producing radiation without like consuming anything except like intravenous nutrients. In which case Ers could just be a fuel source.
Wow. Thank you for that.
Oh, that bummed me out. Gum Baby fuel source. Poor Gum Baby.
I mean, they're not.
No, yeah, they're weird. Like what you're saying makes sense in terms of we think this thing could be a fuel source, and what you're saying like describes how you get that from him just like emitting radiation. But they weirdly like don't seem to focus on that. They're talking about the tachyon particle, like somehow it's the tachyon particle that they saw come out one time that's going to be the fuel source.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So they almost had science correctly.
Yeah. We're just going to shoot protons.
They pronounce the words correctly.
Yes.
Such a
and
low
there's
fucking
not
bar.
a whole lot. There's not an excessive amount of bullshit physics jargon.
Garble.
Yeah,
So-
just regular bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he says, you know what this is? Yeah, that's the theoretical model for a tachyon particle. He says, it's not theoretical.
She goes, "What is this?
an actual
Astrophysics 101."
This is an actual measurement. And she goes, oh, no way.
Consider me impressed.
This thing emits tachyons? Well, it did one time.
It kind of did like one time.
We're pretty sure it did.
I drew a picture of it. Here's the picture.
Yeah. It's in crayon. just a circle with light, light rays coming out.
The way they try and dumb this shit down so much for us that they keep drawing circles everywhere, and they're like, the circle is the particle. And so they've got the big circle on his screen in this part of the episode where they're like, that's the tachyon particle. And then later when she's using her computer and Ger's using his computer and they're trying to type in equations to I don't really remember, like they're doing equations to like try and get the end result that they want,
varying frequency
to get the
of
tachyon
proton
to come out.
radiation.
Right.
Yeah, to make the
Right. So they're
make
going
it
to
shoot out again.
bombard Sasha with accelerated protons, which you need a particle accelerator for that. Luckily, we find out that Dr. LaSalle and Dr. Kenway worked together at a particle accelerator.
very closely. As we find out.
Very close.
Yeah, so
They bombarded their particles.
They accelerated them.
bound chicka wow. So
So, and the only, I guess the next physics term that doesn't really fit is talking about the frequency of the proton beam. It's just a bunch of protons moving in a straight line. It doesn't really, I guess the beam itself could have a frequency of like pulsing the protons, like intensity.
How hard are you trying
don't
to
know.
make this not bullshit?
I can try as hard as I need to. So like that doesn't really make sense, but they bring her on to figure out the like mix of frequencies to solve this big messy equation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Science.
Which
So
she does with her thumb, because science.
we'll get there. We'll get to her being a
Sorry.
bitch at Ger's house and their unrequited love.
Okay. Let Meg
So
go.
so they use like these circle drawings to try and dumb it down for all of us non-sciencey people to explain like what's going on with their particles. So they have the one drawing now, the one great big circle, and then later when Ger and Anya are on their computers, they have what only looks to me like the blowing bubble screensaver from 2000, and she's like typing like away madly, like
Roy coded the animation.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
we get random typing and then
A bunch of circles.
really, really complex equation showing up on the screen as they're typing, which that's not really how you type equations, but okay. I mean, you can. There's a system for typing out equations.
And sorry,
with
does
a
yours
keyboard, but-
also involve the blowing bubble screensaver as an integral part of the science? The science? No.
Then
No.
it's not real science. So
Maybe your science is
I'm
not advanced
sorry.
enough.
Maybe,
Matt. Yeah.
maybe I'm not a
GTFO.
real scientist.
If it doesn't involve blowing bubbles, you're not doing it right.
Well,
So,
yeah.
anyways, so there's a little bit more science speak. He's like, yeah, this is a tachyon particle, and the gum baby is shooting out electromagnetic pulses and gamma radiation and muon particle streams, which are words.
yes.
Yes, those are words
Correct.
that describe radiation.
Okay, so he could have just said radiation and
Fast-moving fundamental particles,
okay.
radiation.
So radiated gum baby. So then we meet Dr. Frank Beamler, who is the director at the Beamler Center, so at this facility that they're in, and he looks like the fucking crypt keeper. So
Isn't he the smoking man from?
He's the Marlboro Man from
Marlboro Man?
X-Files.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I never watched X-Files. I believe you. I fully believe you. So he comes in, and we're all like evil. So although he's more like mildly annoyed bureaucrat.
He's bureaucrat.
In this.
Yeah, he's just a bureaucrat.
So he comes in and he's like, "So is Anya gonna join us?" And Anya's like, "Damn straight."
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So they're basically like you're our only hope to figure this out. No one's as smart as you. You're the only one who knows how to do shit with
Science.
science and radiation.
Beep, beep, boop.
Yeah. So they're like, can you figure out a plan on getting Gum Baby to shoot out tachyon particles, like getting this to happen?
You know they feed Gum Baby, and Gum Baby doesn't have perfect use of all of the material they put in Gum Baby, which means Gum
Gum
Baby
Baby poops.
Gum Baby does have emissions.
Oh God.
Oh, maybe.
Do you think Roy
maybe
has to
this
clean
is
up
the
Gum Baby
biggest
poop?
mystery of Gum Baby.
Where
is
does
that
it go?
it doesn't poop. It only emits radiation.
It goes into the other dimension that we learn about later. There's just a shit dimension.
It's just a pile. Where does it come from? It's on somebody's like kitchen table
So in
for
another dimension.
14 years.
Oh my God.
Poop.
Can you imagine if you live in that other dimension and you're just like, why are all these piles of shit coming from?
Jeremy, why did you poop on the table again?
It's like the podcast Who Shat on the Floor at my wedding.
And the answer is interdimensional Gum Baby. That would be such a twist.
Ooh, in a parallel dimension, at another physics research facility.
They don't have Gum Baby, but they do have a glass coffin full of shit.
A physics research facility has been built around where this poop comes out.
Oh my God.
Coprolites. Scientific term.
I'm gonna see this in my dreams now. So anyways, they're like, no one's as smart as you, and she's like, damn straight, no one's as smart as me, because she cannot not be a bitch to everybody in this whole show. So she's like, do you guys think like maybe Urs doesn't like being, or maybe Urs 28 doesn't like being jabbed with needles and shit all day long? And he's like, it's just an irradiated mass of protons and shit. Don't fuck it. He has no brain. He's dumber than a monkey. Like don't even worry about it.
Aren't we all just made out of atoms?
Yeah, but this is made out of atoms with no brain, and Ger's fine with sticking him with a sharp stick. So like, I guess like morally we're cool.
Well, you know
So-
what they say. You can't trust atoms because they make up everything.
I'm quitting the podcast. I'm quitting. No, don't high five her for that. No, Don't you mom and dad joke me on this podcast. Do not. No. He's catching. You caught it from him. You fucking. No. Kicked out. Done. Look at Rachel. Rachel's pissing her fucking pants over
The
there.
shot is hitting.
I just.
He said it. It just came out my mouth.
Fucking ventriloquist dad joke hoodoo. I'm on to you guys. Are you done? Look at you. You fucking. Anyways. God damn it. Anyways, they're like, maybe she's like, should like she has like one brief question about like the morality of jabbing sharp sticks into this
like,
thing
"It
that's
looked
almost
at
a baby.
me."
Yeah. And he's like, nah, that's just a reflex. It's fine. Do you want to come to dinner at my house? And I was like, that's a fucking whiplash turnaround.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's like, I don't really like people. I'm like, that's clear. You didn't have to say that.
We
Like,
all
got-
sympathize.
Yeah, we
She's
got it
like,
from the context.
I don't like people. I don't do parties. He's like, well, I already told everybody you were coming.
Yeah.
So-
So get in
So
the-
it'll look bad on you if you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, so get in the fucking car. So he drops her off at the like I guess there's like housing at this facility. So he drops her off at this like little like low slung rough ass looking government housing building and he's like, I'm gonna get you later. So he picks her up, they go to his house, where we get to meet his wife, Nancy. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot the best part. Okay. So he's like bringing her to her house. And she's like, just show me where to hang my toothbrush and I'll get started. And I was like, they're not even trying to hide this anymore. Like literally, it's like there was a drinking
Women say
game.
that to him all the time.
All the fucking time. I was like, is this a drinking game that every line out of everyone's mouth has to be followed by like, yeah, Ger, get it. Anyways, so it's I guess at this point that she's like officially like I sign on because she's like show me where to hang up my toothbrush and I'm into this and he's like let me show you your house now. It happens to also be my house. Wink. So. He's like, I want you to come to dinner to this party for everybody. Come to my house, meet my wife Nancy, meet the rest of the team. They show up at his house. There is a weird square cake, which where do you even buy a square? No one makes a square cake.
Someone is cutting into wedges.
Which is cutting into
Triangle
weird
wedges.
triangle wedges. And it says, welcome to hell, Anya. The fucking fuck? If she weren't a
The
giant
subliminal messaging.
yeah, they're very subtle about it. If she weren't a giant super bitch to everyone, I'd be like, why? But she showed up as a giant super bitch, and I'm like, well, that actually feels correct. Yeah, give her a weird triangle wedge of cake, cut out of a weird square cake that says basically "fuck off to where you came from, Anya" at her welcome to town party. Like that feels right. That feels right. So we get to meet Ger's wife, Nancy, who we find out was some admin professional who worked or works, I guess, at the same facility where he's working now. And Anya's like, yeah, Ger's a lazy dater. And I was like,
he was always a lazy dater. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you were low hanging fruit too. Got it.
Subtle. That's why her leg don't work.
Permanent nerve damage.
Yeah, you fucked her hip crooked. That dick.
Don't make me cry again.
And the whole time that Ger is with his wife, who I feel bad for saying this, but like the actress they have play the wife is not as pretty, or at least not as like made up as the actress they have to play Anya. So it feels sort of like here's my horsey face replacement wife for you. Like it just, I don't know. It felt sort of like
She's pretty.
But she's like not as pretty as the Anya actress.
I think it's supposed to be. I didn't trade up. You left me, and I just found somebody else.
This was here in the admin department. So I went to get a stapler, and I came back with a wife, and that was fine. And the whole time he's got his hands on her belly.
That's how these things work.
Lazy dater. Yeah, I need some pens, I need a stapler, and I'll fuck that. Yeah, come on over.
Yeah.
So get in the cart. So anyways,
taking you home.
she's not. I don't want to give the impression that I think she's ugly. She's not an ugly. She's a beautiful actress. But like the way that the scene plays out is it definitely feels like she was just there and he was just there, and it was like, well, I mean, whatever.
Right.
Like, yeah, you're not Anya, so whatever. So he's holding the skinny woman's belly the entire time as like a very clear, like, this is where my baby is. And I was like, all right. She's got like, you could have put a little padding on her. She's got like, she's like, is she like negative 6 weeks pregnant? Like what is happening here?
Yes.
But you noticed that the wife is like nuzzling herself all over Ger the entire time, like to mark her territory.
Yes, she is. Every time she's near him, she's got like her head on his shoulder. She's got her arm around him. She might as well just pee on him. Be like, this is mine. I own this.
Well, we do find out later that Anya is Dr. LaSalle's
ex-girlfriend?
ex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so not to jump ahead a little, but like I like that they clearly are showing us that they used to be in some kind of relationship, but there's no dialogue to that effect. It's just like
Right,
what
it's a
they're
lot of
showing us.
signaling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I liked, and also I like that it's like the rest of the episode does not hit on a lot of the characteristics, but they were just like, what if? Hold on, we sneak it in there. We don't have to rewrite anything.
Yeah.
But we give you like a little bit of acting to show that Ger can in fact get it. Everyone cool? Ger gets it? Great. All right.
Got it,
Awesome.
good.
Acting. Awesome. So they're at the party. Ger and Anya cannot not be doing work every fucking time that they're around each other. So there's like a whiteboard in the laundry room where Ger has written some kind of equation that he's going to use to try and get the tachyon particles to shoot out of Gum Baby. And Anya stands there and she's like, if you like take off this we call
This
exponent.
one variable.
Yeah, they take off this exponent number 2 here and this exponent number 2 there. That'll fix everything. And he's like, why did I think of that? And she's like, because I'm smarter than you. And I'm like, you
Because it's not a valid transformation of that equation.
Because
Although I did see an h bar over 2 pi in that equation, which shows up in quantum mechanics a lot, particle physics stuff. So
they copied something out of a book somewhere.
yeah,
and they were
copied
like, science.
something
Yeah,
out of a
yeah.
book somewhere.
Well, I mean, thumbs up for that, I guess. But you don't generally just cross out a 2 in 2 places and go science.
Yeah.
No, no.
I mean, you
No.
can.
You can do it. Is it valid? No.
No.
But she was very, very cocksure and very
Yeah.
impressed with herself by being like bloop bloop. And then Ger comes back and he's like, I'm going to add the number 2 back in both times because I'm just going to run the experiment both ways. Even though he just said to her like your version of this equation is the correct one and you've solved everything, he still is like, I'm going to run it my way.
What if she was hysterical when she
Yeah,
erased that
I mean,
variable?
yeah, she has a uterus, so we can't trust her.
No.
And then on the way out of the party, she goes fucking back there and she writes the number 2. She like erases the number 2 both times again. And I'm just like, the two of you need to fucking like you're both a lot. Be less. You're stressing me out. So.
This is why he left you.
Yeah. Well,
I think she left him.
I got the impression that she left him because she's so headstrong and so like. She feels like the kind of character who would learn that she has a terminal disease and be like, all right, fuck everyone. I'm going to be a lone wolf and live my life in silence. And I hate all of you. Like
It definitely feels like, I
walk off
gave
into-
that up.
Yeah.
I gave that up.
I gave up humanity. I'm going to just walk off into the sunset. So then we have, I kind of like this scene. We have Anya at the party and she's being made to mingle, which is the cruelest fucking thing. And some random woman is like, oh, let me tell you all about my aunt with multiple sclerosis. And she kept saying that your attitude determines your altitude. Like, merp, merp, merp. And I was just like, you fucking, can she stab you with her sword cane? Can we just like can we just be done with you?
There
like,
can be only one.
Highlander. So based on that, I think that Anya is supposed to have MS, but it may just be like this woman's like, oh, you have an
yeah.
illness? I knew someone with an illness
I knew
once.
someone with a terminal illness.
Yeah, let me tell you all about it. So then Anya starts to get woozy and like drops the glass and Ger's like, can I give you a ride? And I was like, oh, sir.
He says that all the time.
Ball wink. And she's like, no, fuck off. I'm going to go home. So she goes back to the lab because like this whole episode just feels it feels a little bit like Other Women's Children where it's like, stop working right now. Like you need to have something other than work. And like, that's me saying that. And like, that's, if anyone should know, I should know, but it's like, go home. Like whatever's going on with you, like you can't even hold a glass of water in your hands. Like go home and maybe take a nap and take one of your 17 pill bottles. Like don't go back to the office. But of course she goes back to the office. She sees Roy because anytime that Ger and Anya are not in the office, like poor Roy is like the only, it's him and some unnamed Asian girl, and they're the only like grad student interns, and they have to be there. Like there has to be someone there 24 hours a day. It seems like just to take care of
because he has to be
fed and monitored. Yeah. So like it seems like anytime they're not there, there's only these other two, and they're the ones that have to deal with Gum Baby the whole time. So she wanders back in. Roy is like, hi, I'm a human being. And she's like, fuck off, Roy. Like, she's just so shitty to Roy. I don't
Roy's like, I'm a human being. And so is Sasha.
Yeah. Do you want a donut? And she's like, fuck off. It's just like, just fucking, he's trying to like talk to you. He's trying to talk to you about like his concerns about Gum Baby being a human being are your concerns that you said to Ger like 2 scenes ago. So it's not like, it's not like he's pulling stuff out of his ass, but Anya is like,
she's like, fucking noob.
Yeah. Yeah.
soul patch.
Yes. He just pulls the hairs aside and opinions fall out. Little known fact.
So
That's where they hide.
Is that how that works? So, but he's like trying to talk to her about like his concerns. Like this is like a living thing. It may not be a human being the way that you think of it, but like it's a living thing. And does it feel pain? Is what we're doing like cruel to it? Is it? I mean, the experiments that you're talking about, you would have to be running them continuously for like 20 years. That seems like some kind of intolerable cruelty to enact on Gum Baby. Like I can't. Like why are we morally? Is this a thing that we should do? And she's like, there are no morals in science. Fucking man up, dickhead. And like literally, like I said, every scene could have been replaced by her just giving him a nut tap, and it would have had the same emotional effect, the same vibe, yeah. And he's like, wah, wah, wah. So, at this point, all of a sudden, we find out that one of the little turkey baster probes is loose from Gum Baby, and Roy's like, okay, like I'm on shift, whatever, I'll go in there. And she's like, fuck you, Roy, you're too dumb to do anything. So she limps over to the loose in the middle of the room radiation suits.
Yeah.
She puts one on. She wanders into the radiation room. The radiation levels are rising. Creepy little milky eye opens because every time anything happens, they have to give him the milky eye animation, and it's just.
But they did it once and they nailed it, and they were like,
let's just keep using that same thing it's just fucking it's gross. Like it literally. They could have had it do anything. They could have had it vomit onto itself, and it would have been less gross to me. It would have been less emotionally upsetting to me than this one little milky eye that makes a noise.
A tiny little hole opens and poo just starts.
I could have handled that better because, like, the eye makes this weird, like, little squelching noise
With like a.
No, I hate it. I hate it. But correct, but I hate it. Oh no. Oh, my body just shriveled up. Okay, so it's just fucking. I'm gonna spray you with a hose. So the milky eye opens. All of a sudden, everything has like a weird purple light to it, which is science, I guess.
And there's like a whom, whom noise.
Yeah, pretty much. So
Evil is a metaphysics.
just stop it. So this, so we get a purple light. We get the milky eye opening, and all of a sudden, like Anya is both going forwards and backwards in time. There's like weird time effects where everything around her is
Must
like
be on her period.
They do. Oh, fuck. This whole episode, like, it definitely is like, oh, a woman experienced something. Well, that's not science.
Well,
that's not
That's
science.
not admissible.
Correct. Yeah. Did she have a soul patch? No. Did she have a dick and balls? No. That's not science. That's not
Sorry.
science. That's
eyebrow
hysteria.
piercing? Oh, deal breaker.
That's hysteria, and we know how we deal with hysteria. Ger?
Rejection.
London seaside stat.
What do you call that, Matt? An injection of penicillin?
Well, that's how you heal a woman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. From when it ails her.
Spoken with authority.
I can't be in this room with the two of you. So I can't look at you. So anyway, she has this like weird forwards in time, backwards in time. Stuff is moving slow. Stuff is moving fast.
That's why she left Ger.
She couldn't handle the injection of penicillin.
Because he offered. She's like, no, fuck you. Don't make light of my TC.
My terminal condition. Am I choked you? No.
Jesus Christ. So then, not only is she getting the purple light, the backwards and forwards in time, but she turns around and there is what I can only describe as a Russian space baby ghost.
Yes.
So it is a like 10-year-old-ish boy, and it's 2001. So he's got blonde mushroom cut, which was the only allowable haircut for all children in the year
Correct.
2001.
Except Hanson.
Oh yeah, well yeah, Hanson had girl hair, so you either had girl hair or you had mushroom cut, and a list of haircuts. So he's got mushroom cut. He's wearing like all white. He's glowing and white, and speaking to her in an American accent, in English with no Russian accent at all. Which I guess you were born in Russia, but you were never actually like born, so maybe you didn't get a Russian accent because you're only a space baby outside of time and the universe. Maybe I don't know. Anyway, so he's like, help me. And she's like, well, that's unusual. So what up?
Need to put that in my research journal.
So then all of a sudden, after she sees Space Baby Ghost, she zooms backwards in time to right the second before she's about to walk into the radiation room. So she's like, huh. So she goes and watches some videos on her computer that the scientists at Chernobyl filmed of themselves when they were first investigating Gum Baby, not
Did
Alien.
she look it up
Gum
on
Baby.
Encarta 95?
I guess it feels like I hear your joke. It feels like an Encarta 95 video because it's one of those like little videos inside a great big like
Yes.
border, which
Yeah.
feels exactly like how encyclopedias used to work on computers.
Yes.
Where you had all the discs for it. So, anyways, I guess Encarta was really thorough that year, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you want Russian
Russian
Ghost
Gum Baby?
Yeah, I
Not
have
a problem.
Yeah, disc 4 Russian Gum Baby. So,
The Encarta 95 expansion.
Yeah, you click on
Duh.
it. It's like
Yeah.
put in disc number, whatever.
Yeah.
Ah, god damn it.
Russian baby radiation disc is disc 4. So she has the Russian version of Encarta. Oh my god. So she manages to put, because like I know they weren't using the internet, so she manages to put it in, and she watches this video which it's like dubbed over into English, and she learns that other people who were at Chernobyl around the time of this kid's birth, and also the ones who were studying him after his birth, one woman who had a brain disorder also saw a vision of a young boy. And it sounds like maybe a couple of other people who had, if they had any kind of like medical issue, all of a sudden they were able to see ghost boy visions. But the scientists were like, well, you have something wrong with you. That's obviously, they broke the part of your brain that does not see ghost boy visions. And
Yeah.
so obviously that is what turned that on. That's why you see ghost boy, nothing to investigate, end of list. So, Ger comes in after she's looking at all this stuff, and she refuses to tell Ger about Ghost Boy because she knows that as a human woman, he would not.
There's no chance he's
he's
gonna
not.
believe her.
He's gonna be like, oh, you're the uterus again.
Oh,
so she's like, yeah, there was just an EMP burst, I guess. So oopsie doodle.
an EMP
Which
burst.
is a tautology.
Yeah,
and
a pulse burst.
electromagnetic pulse burst.
yeah.
Yes.
Look, they tried.
At least they didn't say EMP pulse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give them a half point credit. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like nobody knows what the fuck they're saying in this
Maybe
entire
it's
episode.
extremely mad protons.
Okay, so so the kind of radiation that they're talking about as far as like Chernobyl radiation and whatever, those are not, it's not electromagnetic radiation. It's like neutrons coming out of atoms.
I was going to say,
or
does the
loose
electromagnetic thing make any
protons
sense to you?
or electrons or whatever. A burst of like alpha radiation, which is, I think, just electrons, wouldn't be called an electromagnetic pulse because that's just like radio waves and like light energy and stuff. It's all photons, not protons and neutrons and electrons.
Extremely mad
So
particles.
why would it be an electromagnetic pulse burst?
Don't worry about it.
So she just says words to say words.
Why gum baby?
Yeah.
At least she pronounces most
The
of them.
letters in EMP. Yeah, no, give her credit for that, I guess.
This is an imp burst. What? It's an imp burst.
I know we're joking about this, but like there have definitely been times where I have gone back and watched programs from the 90s and early 2000s where they used science terms which we're
Yeah.
all more familiar with now than we would have been then, like as a wider
Yeah,
culture.
it's called CSI.
And you go and you watch it and you're like, the fuck?
Enhance.
All of CSI.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and computer stuff too, especially. Yeah. I remember watching like an early episode of Law and Order where they were on the internet and they just had a Word document pulled up on the screen and they were typing like http:// into a Word document. And I was like, where the fuck do you think that's going to take you? But they were acting like it's a real. And I was like, what?
They type the URL in the Word document, and Word turns it into a clickable link, and then they can click on it, and it opens the web
Yeah,
browser.
yeah, you would, yeah, in the future, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But this was just like beep boop boop computers. So this is beep boop boop science, I guess.
Yes.
So she's like, I'm not going to tell him about seeing Space Ghost coast to coast. So we're just, I'm just going to make up that I got that I saw there's an EMP and I'm fine now. So he's not going to wonder where the electricity came from. It's just
Yeah.
it's fine. It's just he's a ghost.
He's like,
he's a-
well, you're already terminal. So.
Yeah, he's a gum baby, so who gives a shit? So he's like, I think you're like, you look really stressed. You're like overworked. You should go home. And she's like, but science is all I do. And he's like, if you don't go, I'm gonna make Roy play his white boy rap without headphones. And she's like, oh shit, 2001 white boy rap, and she yeets out of there as fast as she can.
As would I.
So then
It's a terrifying prospect.
Smash mouth.
Just running in slow motion. So she goes home and like, does she rest? Fuck no, she doesn't rest. She is a scientist. She's gonna die in a year. She has equations to equate. She's gonna make it happen.
Yeah.
So she goes home. She uses her fucking Windows 95 screensaver to solve this equation. I fucking love it. While she's taking fistfuls of pills from like the tallest, biggest pill bottles I've ever seen in my entire life. Like not just like, oh, I need like it's 4:00. I gotta take one of these and two of those. She's just like downing every bottle that's on her desk while with her other hand
Right,
typing
we keep
equations.
cutting from her to the computer screen, and every time we cut back to her, she takes a
She's
different
chugging more
pill.
pills. Yeah. Yeah. She is going through time and space without the need for gum baby. Like she does not. So, so she's at home, and while she's at home, Roy, like it's Roy's turn to watch Gum Baby. So Roy goes and he's like, oh, Gum Baby, I feel really bad that you have to be in here and that you're being jabbed and poked and prodded. And
we're about to commence a series of proton bombardment experiments for the next 20 or 30 years.
for the next 20 or 30 years, yeah, you're gonna be chained up here in pain, zapped with particles for 20 years. That's miserable. No one listens to me. No one is even bothering to see whether you can feel or anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to release you from this. And how I release you from this is by squeezing your breathing tube until you die, which seems like the most painful.
Why not just
God damn
turn
it,
off
Roy.
the ventilator?
Because his soul patch is in charge and he can't think straight.
Oh, okay.
It gets
Yeah.
in the way.
It's consuming all the blood in his body.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's why he's so
What
pale.
do you think they feed on? Jeez.
Oh my God. Can you imagine the soul patch just like pulsing, just like. So anyway, so it cuts back and forth between him squeezing the air tube and going back to Anya's house, and Anya just like walking around her house. Now that she has her computer trying to run these equations. And she pulls up a stack of photos. And I was like, oh, what's this? It's a stack of photos of her and Ger. And it's not just like we knew each other from before, we're friends photos. It was all like him with his arm around her, them having a Hawaiian vacation. Like it was this close to just having like an in the bed smoking cigarette photo. Like it was all very much,
Yeah.
we used to fuck and here's the photographic proof. And I was like, well, that would have been cool for them to like mention in dialogue at any point before now, but like whatever. And then she pulls out a big framed photo. So she throws all those photos away in the garbage because she doesn't give a shit about personal things. And then she pulls out a big framed photo of.
She's a scientist.
She's a scientist. There's no time for dicks. Science. So she pulls out a big framed photo of her and a bunch of other guys in lab coats, one of whom is Ger, and it's from when they used to work together. And I think it was some previously successful
particle
experiment.
accelerator,
Yeah.
yeah.
The linear accelerator.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course you have to frame the one about the experiment with you and Ger and like 10 middle-aged overweight guys in lab coats, and then you're throwing out the ones like the post-coital pictures, like
Yeah.
whatever, man. Okay. So
Sure.
so they're going back and forth between air tube and he used to fuck me pictures. And then as Roy, as the spirit of 2001 is suffocating Gum Baby, all of a sudden Anya is like feeling the effects of the suffocation across town, and she starts choking and falling on the floor and being very dramatic and whatever the fuck. And
Spooky action at a distance.
oh, I know that. What is that's in science? Tell me the science. Give me the science. Give me the science.
That's I think Einstein coined the phrase to describe like quantum entanglement, where
oh, okay.
there's
So they're
effects
entangled. They're particles.
across space.
Yeah, they're entangled. Her and Gum Baby.
Why did you say that so sexually? So
Is that a requirement of this podcast?
that is,
Yes.
I mean,
That's
correct.
what she said.
Correct. So anyway, so she's on the floor, and Gum Baby is, doing however he breathes. Yeah.
Gum Baby learned from the best how to entangle women.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God, Gum Baby sex predator. Oh wow. Okay, I'm gonna have weird dreams tonight, you guys. So all of a sudden, so she's suffocating on the floor. They're getting that weird purple like space and time effect, and it shoots her backwards in time. Is kind of the impression I get, because she had broken the picture that she had. She had dropped the picture of her and the other scientists, and then we get the purple effect, and all of a sudden the picture is unbroken again.
Except it disintegrates Roy in the meantime.
Which is not fixed until when we go back in time much later.
Correct.
Yeah.
Even though it goes back in time, it's like, fuck Roy.
He is still Sometimes the effect of going backwards in time in this episode carry over, and sometimes the effect of going backwards is like, no, you just go back to a thing that actually happened as it happened at that point in time previously. It's surprisingly for the Outer Limits, it is not consistent in its depiction of time travel. I know. What?
Shock.
I know. So she runs over to the office. Let's see. She runs over to the office and she sees Ger and she's like Roy has disappeared. She doesn't even bother to go to the room to see if Roy is still disappeared because, like I said, we went backwards in time. He might still be there.
Actually.
She's just like, nope, he's definitely gone forever. I saw him in my mind's eye basically, disintegrate, turn into gas, basically. Like, he gets burned from the inside out by Gum Baby, and he's nothing anymore. So she goes and tells that to Ger, and she's like, look, I know that we're both serious scientists, but also I had a vision across town of Roy trying to choke Gum Baby, and then he exploded, and Gum Baby is a ghost Russian baby, and Ger's like, I need to sit down. Fucking what? But by the way, Ger's like, hey, I ran your simulations on my screensaver, and it totally checks out, and it works. And so we're going to use your thing, and I'm going to go and tell the boss in a minute to use your equation, and we can start tomorrow, and we can start bombarding Gum Baby with particles to make him shoot out other particles, and it's going to be great. And he's trying to talk Anya down, I feel like, about all this stuff with the Ghost Baby. Like, the only other people who saw Ghost Baby had brain tumors. Do you have a brain tumor? You don't have a brain just fucking forget it. It's not science that you saw this thing, someone else saw this thing.
Right.
Let's
you
not
only have
investigate
TC. It's not a brain tumor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You have a uterus, and that obviously makes you not understand things. That lady
Getting in the way of science.
Yeah.
I won't hold it against you. Just don't tell anybody else what you just told me.
Exactly. Shut
we'll
up about it.
come back to work tomorrow,
Yeah.
and we'll pretend that you never said these.
Yeah, you have a uterus.
things.
The Russian lady who got the brain tumor, she had a uterus. I know exactly what is tying these things together. If you have a uterus, you see a ghost space Russian baby. Just
Clearly.
fucking shut up about it. We're going to use your equation. Be happy. Go home. So now Anya finally wanders into the lab and sees the other lab tech who doesn't get a name, I don't think. She's just...
Jane.
Was it Jane? It shows how much I pay
Jane
attention.
or Janie?
Yeah, we'll go with that. So Jane, the other lab tech who gets 2 lines in this entire episode, Anya wanders in and is like, "Hey, did you happen to see the Spirit of 2001? Did you happen to see Roy? Did you happen to see Roy burst into flames or some shit?" And Jane's
Smash
like,
Mouth plays faintly in the distance.
"Somebody wants to." So he's here amongst us. Can you hear us, Roy?
It almost feels like he's here.
A tiny little earring drops out of the ceiling. So.
Blob of hair gel.
Is this ectoplasm? No, it's hair gel. So
Roy.
it's Ger. So anyway, she's like, "Did you happen to see Roy? Was he around?" And Jane's like, "I don't nope, he's not here now." And she's like, so Anya is like, "Did you happen to did Gum Baby happen to start choking at any point?" And she's like, "Yeah, his oxygen levels dropped at 2:00 at 2:12 p.m. and no one else was here. And we checked the video, and the video happened to be out. That's weird, but we didn't look into it anymore because we don't actually care. Science. Gum Baby is still fine now, so who gives a shit? And I can replace Roy with anyone down at the local bar who also has a soul patch because they will also know science. It's fine. Who gives a shit?"
Hive mind.
Yeah, hive mind. Yeah, the hive mind of the soul patch.
Yes.
Yeah. So Ger goes over to the boss and is like, "Hey, look at this equation," and she solved it, and they're all like, "Good job." P.S. You know how Anya has a uterus? And they're like, "Yeah." "Well, she's been seeing weird shit," and they're like, "You shouldn't have hired someone with a uterus. They're all fucking messed up. You shouldn't have."
Even though she solved this problem that none of us could solve.
Yeah. So we immediately need to kick her off
Get
the
her outta
project
here.
because she's talking to Russian space ghosts, and we need to cut that out real quick. Cut that at the nib. So
We can't condone that kind of activity.
But you're we talked about this a little bit. On the one hand, the stuff that she's saying seems so outlandish, like she's seeing ghosts. But on the other hand, they're all saying that they're seeing particles that have an effect on space and time. And they've kept this weird Gum Baby alive for 14 years. And it's not just her seeing this. It's other people
But that's where
across
we draw the
continents
line.
that have seen like weird space ghosts. So it's like, could you maybe, I don't know how you would investigate this, but like, could you maybe just like not start from the assumption that she's totally wackadoodle? Like, could you
Yeah.
maybe just try?
This is the stupid TV conceit where all scientists are somehow closed-minded and bigoted. They're like, ugh, no, that could never happen. Instead of being like, oh my God, describe the conditions exactly. Let's see if we can get it to happen again.
Yeah, like just like look into it. Like I don't believe in ghosts, but if you were like, hey, I have a bunch of scientists who are in the exact same conditions and all of them experience ghosts, I'd be like, is that something we can look into? Maybe
It could
Like-
be a side effect of the radiation. It
yeah.
could be a side effect of the radiation
Yeah.
on
We need to
someone's.
get to the bottom
Yeah,
of
you don't
this.
have to. You don't have
Yeah.
to jump to like spiritual belief, but but like, why not investigate a thing like a phenomenon that appears to be happening? Like, I
Yeah,
don't,
there could be some chemical difference in her brain that is
Yeah.
allowing the radiation
that's giving
to
her
affect
hallucinations.
her.
Yeah,
Let's see how that's working. He's clearly emitting something that's creating these hallucinations. Let's find out what that is.
yeah. If she's
Yeah.
having a hallucination, probably you'd want to stop that. That's not a good thing to be happening.
Yeah, or
So,
figure
like,
out
let's
why
figure
it's
out,
happening.
Yeah, figure out what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, they're just like, oh, ghost, blah, like kick her off the team.
I mean, at worst, it means some kind of radiation is getting through the radiation suits.
The totally not sealed radiation suits. Yeah, that's, crazy.
which means
Surprise!
it may not be making you have visions, but you could still be being affected by it.
Yeah.
And so don't you want to know if it's something that's going to give you a brain tumor in 2 years?
Ghosts.
Did the Russian lady have a brain tumor before she started seeing the hallucinations?
I think so. I think she did only, or had some kind of genetic condition, right?
yeah, she
'Cause-
had a genetic brain
yeah.
abnormality.
Yeah, because that's what they Russian space ghosts can't talk to you if your brain's normal.
Yes.
Science. So, anyways, the two old white men are like, "Fuck that!" So we have to kick her off the team. And
Yeah, we're going to let you go.
yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for all your work. Fuck off,
Thanks for this equation.
And
Peace out.
The guy guarding the gate shows up.
ma'am. So Anya goes into
The one security guard in the entire building.
They can only afford one. Although that guy is like 9 feet tall, so like
Yeah.
I think they could have either had two normal sized guys or one giant
Yes.
guy, and
Yeah.
they were like
Absolutely.
pound for pound. Yeah,
One guy.
let's get the Hulk. So Anya goes into the radiation chamber to talk to Sasha, and she's like, "I know you didn't want to hurt Roy, but he tried to kill you, so you kind of had to." I wish there was something I could do to help you. Like she is all of a sudden, she's gone from total skeptic to like, I am full in that you can hear me and you can understand me and you are trying to communicate with me. Like, what can I do? So obviously the very next thing that happens is Sasha Ghost Boy takes her outside of space and time to another dimension, which has fucking wet. So outside of this, so in this other dimension, which does kind of, we talked about this a little bit outside the podcast. It feels like maybe it's supposed to be heaven ? But then
Yeah.
also like
Wait,
it's
is this the afterlife?
or
Is
just
this
another
a parallel
dimension.
world?
Yeah, yeah. So all I know about it is it's white. It's white everywhere. So science.
Yeah.
So they go. So Sasha somehow manages to shoot Anya's consciousness into that other dimension where he can't go, which is sort of confusing to me. But so he just bloops. He shoots her over there, and she meets the mom of Anya, who again, blonde white lady with no Russian accent, even though she died in Chernobyl. So cool.
Yeah.
She also has a mushroom cut, and that's how you know that she's the mom because they have identical haircuts.
It's hereditary.
And then somehow in this other dimension, there is the little boy's body in a little bed, and she's like, "This is my Sasha," and he doesn't wake up over here because he's like still tied to your dimension. And I was like, okay, now you've lost me, because if it's like his soul, it feels like maybe heaven and maybe it's his soul, but like his thinking soul is over here with his weird mushy corpse, but then there's like a shell of where his soul should be in the afterlife and or another dimension. And I was just like, I'm tired now. I'm tired. Okay. Fucking whatever.
It got
Sure.
stuck in that pulsating bob of flesh over there.
Yeah.
And then the sleepy half of his soul got to go to heaven. Like, I don't. Stop it! I heard you. Stop it! Oh God, I fucking that noise is so the Outer Limits. I didn't realize was so gross with its sounds.
Squishy.
It's just, ugh. Anyways, so they yeet out to a different dimension in space and time. And the mother, the ghost mom, is like, please try and free Sasha. And Anya is like, how the fuck am I gonna, like, what part of I'm a physicist makes you think that I can figure out how to free a soul trapped in a hunk of goo and send it through space time? But it turns,
You know science. Fucking figure it out.
but it turns out the answer is fucking of course. So Matt,
Lasers.
yeah, lasers.
I'm
So
sorry. I was incorrect there. It's not lasers. It's proton beams.
You
we
misspoke.
have to cross.
Check yourself
Cross the streams.
before you wreck yourself, sir.
We have to cross the streams.
Jesus Christ. But I like how there's like half a minute of how could I possibly solve this metaphysical problem? And then she's like, oh wait, no, I got it. Lasers and proton beams.
Hold on.
No.
This is what happens. She's at home and she's pissed off and she throws the thing at
God,
the
I hate
mirror
this scene.
and cracks the mirror.
Well, before that though, she gets caught by Ger and the boss, and Ger and the boss come down and they're like, hey, you're seeing ghost babies, so you're fired now. I'm real sorry. Mwop mwop. And that's when security takes her home.
Yeah, and then she throws the glass at the mirror, and Matt was like, "Oh, that's gonna give her the answer.
She's gonna see that pattern in the glass and
This
go,
is
"That's
what
it."
I put up with. This is what happens when we watch Forever Night."
I mean, he called the second
called
Matt
a
called
plot.
it. I
Yeah.
screamed. I was like, no,
No, why are you ruining it? Because sure enough, she
I
stands
called
up
it
and
like
she like
3 minutes in advance.
sticks her finger in the middle of the starburst, like
of broken glass on her mirror.
A singularity.
So
Yeah.
can you seemed to understand what the fuck was going on with this
Vector,
broken
vector,
glass
vector.
meaning something.
Okay.
you seemed to, but did you also do too?
I have to like translate
Oh, okay.
so that I'm not using bullshitty physics jargon.
I was gonna say, dumb it real
yeah,
down.
okay.
Dumb it real down.
Don't outer limits it on us.
I need to de-jargon it in my head. In theoretical physics, hypothetical theoretical quantum physics, according to the rules of quantum physics, if you get enough stuff, mass or energy, in one spot, concentrated like densely enough, it makes a hole. Like a singular. The term singularity gets thrown around, and it's like a spike. And that's like what a black hole is. That's what a wormhole is. It's like two singularities that connect. You make holes in two places in space, and they connect. And so I think what they're implying here is they shoot multiple lasers at they shoot multiple proton beams at the same spot so that they intersect to produce a lot of energy in one spot and punch a hole in the fabric of space-time.
So wait, the lines in the mirror, the lines of the crack, are those is that her just going, oh, these are lines all pointing together
Yes.
towards one central point?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That inspired the idea of
of other things,
and then
the point, making singularity.
the
Okay.
center of that like spiderweb crack is the singularity
Okay.
into which punches a hole into the other dimension.
That makes so much more sense than
Which luckily there's only one.
me watching her crack a hole in her
There's
mirror.
only one other dimension.
There's only one
that's
other
right.
dimension, so you don't have to figure out which one to punch a hole into. You
Right,
just-
no, there's Russian space heaven, and then there's Earth. Those
Yeah.
are the two. This is like grade 6 science, you guys. I don't.
Damn it, I was homeschooled.
Is this the heaven for people
I'm
that
sorry,
die
but
of radiation poisoning?
Someday we should do an entire podcast on my Christian Science textbook
Oh my god. Oh my god.
and how secondhand smoke is not bad for you, and the hole in the ozone is a liberal propaganda, and CFCs were actually great for us, and
What?
getting rid of them has caused people to die.
Wow. I didn't get that far.
You didn't get that far?
I read part of it,
Yeah.
but I didn't get that far.
Yep.
Oh my god. Well, you done good with what you got in this
Thanks.
world.
Think about all the people who've died in fires because we can no longer use CFCs and fire extinguishers. Say a prayer for them tonight.
My eyes just rolled so far back in my head that I saw my own brain. And my brain was also rolling its eyes.
Global warming's a hoax. It's not. I mean, I'm just quoting my text.
No, I figured you.
I had to do a lot of deprogramming to get me where I am today.
Yeah,
So,
no, I figured you hadn't just
I
hit
didn't study
the
Russian
right-wing
space
switch.
heaven because I'm sure Jesus does not approve of Russian space heaven. So,
I mean,
No,
based on that tech book.
Commies don't go to heaven.
yeah.
No,
Jesus
yeah, because
doesn't like
they don't go to
He's
heaven.
a
They
liberal
go.
brown guy. There's no way he's going to heaven.
Yeah, they don't go to white Christian heaven. They go
Yes.
next door to Russian space child dimension heaven.
radiation poisoning.
Yeah, radiation
Way
poisoning heaven.
better, honestly.
Yeah, you just take the laser and you move the laser slightly to the right. That's how that works.
Got it.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Okay.
Fuck. So, anyways, so she's like, "Aha! I cracked my mirror. I figured all this shit out." So she goes to Ger's house at 5:30 in the morning, and he comes out of his room in his little bathrobe, and he's like totally wide awake, and he's like, "No, I'm here for this. I'm just booty call. Yeah, all right, yeah." Yeah, she's like, "I'm sorry for bothering you at 5:30," and he's like, That's cool, baby.
Yeah,
that's fine.
no, I'm
That's
sorry.
fine."
Yep. I mean, I was only in the middle of something, but that's fine.
And
I
that
could be
something
in the middle of something again.
and that something was my wife. I feel like this episode like benefits from like a sweaty, horny interpretation, and it makes it so much more fun than like the actual episode itself.
Yes, correct.
But like I also feel like we're not just making up a sweaty subtext. Like there's all those sweaty pictures. They clearly had this like affair from before or relationship from before. Like there's like a sweaty underbelly of this that they just weirdly never touch on in the dialogue, like at all. Except to say that like Ger knew her from before, end of sentence, like we're done. So I feel like us ending every single sentence with "abso-fucking-lutely you can, Ger" is like is not as like
not that far out.
No, we're not stretching that much.
No.
So anyways, he's like 5:30 fuckfest, and she's like, "No, science," and he's like, "All right, science."
Oh, bait and switch.
Damn it. I wouldn't answer the phone.
Down. Yeah. So, so anyways, she's like, look at this drawing I just did of a broken mirror. Look, it's the singularity. And he's like, aha. So we need to use proton rays to clash at the singularity. I wrote this down like verbatim because I was like, don't know what this means. Use proton rays to clash at the singularity above the life support chamber so we can punch a hole in the space-time continuum. However, to do that, like we need more power than is currently going to this little room. And Ger's like, I can figure that part out. Like that's fine. I just go to a back room and I take one thing out of a box and I put another thing into that box. Like, got it. Science. We'll put more power.
Replaced a 50 amp circuit breaker with a 70 amp circuit breaker.
Then took a piece of wire and tied it so it can't trip.
Electricity. Got it. So, but the whole time, like he's making like at this point, I appreciated the fact that they're having this argument with each other where she's like, look, I've proved to you that other dimensions and space ghosts exist. And he's like, you have not proved any of this to me. And I'm like, correct.
Fair.
Yeah, fair. Like I want him to assist you in investigating this phenomenon, but you are coming from it from a point of like, you've gone full believer. You're like, Russian space ghost, baby. And he's like, you need to take a nap. Like, where did this all come from? Like, no one else has seen Russian space ghosts except for a lady with a brain tumor. Like, what do you even? There's other dimensions now. Like, where are you coming from? And she's like, I proved it to you because I said the words that I have proved it to you, and so therefore it is proven science. And he's like, well,
Get it
QED.
together.
yeah, exactly. And and then she throws out the "I'm dying" card, which I was like, oh, that's, I mean, touche. She's
Right,
like,
she pulls out the "I'm dying"
Yeah.
and then pulls the damsel in distress.
yeah. Which, I only have a year to live. Do not deny this dying woman her last wish. Also, you used to fuck me. This punani was good. Please help me. Please help me ruin science for you and maybe lose your job. And he's like, well,
All right.
the punani was good. Okay, on the way. So
Good compelling argument.
I have no rebuttal. So they go back to the and then she quotes him at him, and I'm like, that's fucking beautiful. She's like, you know how you always said that an unseen greater good could come from all tragedies? And I'm just like, how does that actually relate to this situation? Do you mean like the tragedy of your, I mean, I think
You
what she's saying
losing
is
your job and then I'm going to fuck off and die?
yeah. I think the tragedy that she's saying, I think the tragedy that she's saying is like the tragedy of her getting whatever insert disease later her disease is.
Yeah.
And like the good that came from this is that it made her brain able to accept Russian space baby waves.
Or the tragedy is URS-28.
Well, but if the tragedy is URS-28, then the good that comes of that is that he's a new source of energy or whatever, in which case she would be for that maybe, right? But
Yeah.
that URS-28 brought us together again one last time, in which case this then becomes a porno, which it unfortunately does not. So, I mean, if I really had to have like
Meg
any
wished
nitpicking,
so hard.
I was so hard. I wished through time and space, and it did not happen for me. So, Oh, he can't listen to this. So okay. So anyways, so she quotes him, and he's like, "Well, I can't argue with myself." Cool.
I am a very wise man.
I am
Or
the
else
wisest-
I'd get kicked off the project.
Yeah. So they go to the facility. He goes to the electricity closet. He moves out one electrical thing. He puts another in because science. He manages to get more power to go to the lab. She goes to the lab and like types in her equation and gets it all set up. And then basically they get it all set up, and then everyone kind of catches them like in the middle of it, but they can't pause the whatever is running the experiment that has her equation in it because it's rolling, and I guess there's no emergency off switch in science. And
Ger jammed the breakers.
is that why there's no off
Or
switch now?
jammed the circuits. I forget how he phrased it.
Yeah, he says
Science?
if you try to turn it off now, you'll overload the breakers and blow the whole system.
I don't understand how electricity
It
works.
doesn't.
Does that?
Is this what we're gonna?
Yeah. Is that how electricity works?
Is this where we're gonna draw
He
the line?
teched the tech.
Right here. He teched the tech, and now you can't untech the tech. So
Okay.
you just go with the tech.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we science the science
Tech go
before,
boom.
and now we have electricity is bad.
Yeah.
So they can't turn it off. I like how Ger, when he first shows up in the room, they don't know that he's in league with Anya, and then they're like, "Can you do stuff?" And he's like, "Oh, well, I couldn't say anything to her. How could I possibly say anything to her?" And then he's like, "I admit it. The electricity. I can't." It's stuck forever. So then they're like, well, let's bring in fucking Lurch, the world's biggest security guard, and we'll get him to take her out of the radiation room. But it turns out that Anya has slashed all of the totally ineffective anyways radiation suits.
Well, he brings his own.
He brings his own. Yeah, he has to wander into the hallway and get his own. So he
I
has to
imagine when he got hired, he said something like,
do you have your own
I will
radiation
do
suit?"
the work of 3 men for the salary of 2 men.
Because I am the size of 4.
He is like not to like body shame this actor, but what planet does he? 'Cause he is like 2 large men in a trench coat to the shoulders. He is so big, and I feel like I didn't notice it at the beginning of the episode when he's just in the security guard gate because he's I don't know, he's like kind of standing away from her, and I think he's sitting down at one point, and like
Yeah, there's some perspective there.
Yeah,
that
he
makes
just
it
seems like
ambiguous.
a sort of large guy, and then we see him in this room, and it seems like the ceiling was lowered. he's just like, "Marr." I'm just like, oh my god. So he punches Ger in the face and knocks him over. So minus 100 points. Although, in terms of fighting acting, I thought like they did a good job. Like
Yeah.
I believed that he actually that there was contact there, and he just went whoomp onto the floor. So mop mop. So they try and go in. The world's biggest security guard tries to go in after her. She needs to like pull something out of a panel inside the radiation room, which is not super explained and I don't think matters. But
Because the electricity won't electricity.
yeah, okay.
So she has to pull the out K16. It's in that panel over there.
That's right. Because there was some kind of like a safety switch or
Yeah.
something, and she has to pull out the thing that makes safety happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, safety. So she can't reach in there with her radiation suit on, which seems like poor design.
She's like, "Fuck this helmet."
Anything in the radiation. I feel like anything in the radiation room should be designed so that I can reach it while wearing my radiation suit. But that's just me, and I don't science. So she's like, "Fuck it." Yeah, she pulls off her not at all attached, even by Velcro, like helmet. Fuck this noise, and she reaches in there and she's like, K123, whatever, K16. Blip. She pulls it out. All of the super phallic lasers start coming down from the ceiling, and they aim at each other, and they make a magic golden laser space hole, which is just big enough for the soul of a Russian space baby to go through. And I thought it would just be the soul, like the soul that's
Yeah.
missing in this other dimension, and it'll just bloop through because it's the soul that has been speaking to her this whole time in the shape of a ghostly little white Russian boy.
Yeah.
But no, this other dimension must have some kind of physical aspect to it because he needs his gum baby body too. So somehow, the laser happens. We get the purple light show. We're going slow through time and space, backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. The hole opens up. The gum baby sloops through, as does his soul. They get to be reunited with his mom in his weird, his 3-part soul, I guess. Gum baby, sleeping body, and awake baby get to become one. Like that video, do you know those games that are like advertised in iPhones all the time where it's like Merge Dragons or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that, but with a Russian space baby.
Or the Holy Trinity.
Yeah. What, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost?
Yes.
You know what, Matt? Yes. I believe that this episode, they definitely had a deeper religious.
Gum baby's Jesus.
We've
Done
established
now.
it. We've
Yes.
established. We've said the words, as with Anya. We've said the words, and so therefore,
Russian space radiation Jesus.
because he can't go to regular heaven, as I think
No.
Rachel's textbook
Right.
has established.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So it sucks him into the hole, and then all of a sudden it knocks Anya backwards through time and space far enough that we're at the very first scene that when she first went to the lab after Ger was like, I got something fascinating, and she's like, I've seen what you have that fascinates women. I don't
It's
need to.
fine.
I don't need
Yeah.
to travel across the country for that.
Roy is back.
And Roy's, but yeah. So in this case, it's one of those things where like sometimes traveling through time, the effects continue backwards, and sometimes we travel through time, and it's like, no, we're just at however things were in the past. So you're in this case, the magic of his soul patch has been saved.
Yes.
We go back to the very, very first scene where Roy is like jizzing his pants over how much he loves Anya, and Anya's just like, fuck off, Roy. And then all of a sudden Jane comes in and is like, you guys better see this. And it's like, okay, like you got to come see this cliche, sure. So they go over to the little viewing window into the radiation room, and Gum Baby's body is gone, and Anya's like nodding wisely like, I did it. I fixed space and time.
Yeah.
No one else is perturbed though.
Bye-bye, Gum Baby.
Like they all seem kind of like, huh? And I'm like, no.
Nobody's like, look for the slime trail.
Look for the thing that emits radiation. Look for the
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah. Who stole the radiation baby? They should all be freaking the fuck out right now, right? I mean, I'm not crazy for thinking that. This thing that's like, they just managed to get it in like a shipping crate from Russia with like, do not open on the side. They popped it open, they slid it into the box. They're like, no one go in there without your hazmat suit, Russian space baby. That shoots out enough, that doesn't just shoot out regular radiation, it sometimes shoots out like tachyon space-time particles and shit. And it's missing. It's gone.
And they're like, oh, shucks.
Ah, man, Agent Porter is going to be pissed
well.
that this radioactive...
Again.
Gare, did your
Object
dog eat it? Like
disappeared.
nobody...
Again. Somebody go check the cafeteria.
And then they like don't follow up on it. They're like, well, I guess we can't run that experiment because the irradiated space gum baby is gone. Okay, shut it all down, folks. And then Anya leaves.
I guess we're all out of a job now.
She leaves, and we get the creepy Outer Limits voiceover going. An open mind and a caring heart are more important tools to fathom reality than science. And I'm like, you missed it. You missed
Are
it.
they?
I mean, yes, an open mind, but that's part of science. That's
Yeah.
part of the science. Closing your eyes and saying, I don't want to take in new information seems anti-science.
Correct.
So even if you've got this new phenomenon where you don't know what it is because it looks like the ghost of a Russian space baby is coming to visit you in a laboratory, I feel like the response is not, la, 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 this didn't happen. The response is, let's figure out why I'm hallucinating Russian space babies. So but it just, like, it ends, and I was like, I feel like this episode thinks that she learned and grew, and she was like the Grinch, and her heart grew 3 sizes that day. But she was just a super cunt the entire time.
Yeah.
And then at the
It
end,
worked out for her.
And it worked out for her. And at the end, when she was having like a weird quasi-religious out-of-body experience with Russian space baby Jesus, she was like, well, I guess I'm going to investigate that. Now I have an open heart to caring about other people.
Yeah.
Because I feel bad.
Just Space Baby.
Just Space Baby, yeah. Well,
She never gave a shit about Roy.
This is true. Or like Space Baby's mom, I guess. Like Space Baby's mom was like, you take care of him. I don't want to give me a Russian accent. She didn't have one. She should have had a Russian accent. You take care of my son in Earth, and so therefore you also are his mother. And I was just like, okay, so like this woman.
She completely destroyed all of these people's career because they lost irradiated
They're all
space
fired.
babies.
They're going to jail.
They might be going to jail for
They're
losing
going to
irradiated.
federal prison.
Yeah.
She must have escaped
For
'cause
losing radiated
she
material, yeah.
showed up and the baby disappeared and she was like, well, I'm out, y'all.
Peace out, guys. Fuck off, Ger. Like, you're just like, what?
They don't check her trunk. They check nothing because she's
Yeah.
leaving and the guy's like, have a good day. And she goes, I already have. And then
She's back to being kind of a bitch again. And I was just like, God damn it.
because she destroyed
Yeah.
everyone in that room. None of them
Yeah,
will work.
they have no
ever
careers ever again. But it's like, but it feels like the show thinks that she had an arc, and I'm like, but did she? Like, the only person that she ever sort of cares about is maybe Space Baby, maybe Space Baby's mom, and even then, it's only just sort of like. Because this affected me personally, because I was having these visions and I didn't like having these visions, and these visions confirmed to me a thing that I thought at the beginning, which is possibly this is an immoral thing to do, which her character didn't seem like her character should even care about things being immoral or not
No.
based on the comments she made to Roy.
'Cause if Roy was having those visions, she'd have been like, fuck off, Roy.
Yeah. Although I guess she makes the comment at the beginning, like, if you guys did this to a monkey, they would call it vivisection because you're cutting him open while he's still alive, and we're not allowed to do that, and that's cruel.
Right.
And then that's when Ger's like, no, it has no brain. We can poke it with
And
a,
she's
with
like,
a
"Oh,
meat
okay,
fork, and it's
cool."
fine. So
And then Roy's like, I think maybe it feels something. I don't know. Like, I get the sense it feels something. She's like, fuck off, Roy.
yeah, it has no brain, it has no emotions, like you dumbass, and just nut tap.
Shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
Donnie.
yeah.
You're out of your element.
So it's sort of like I guess she kind of had like a little bit of an emotional question, a moral question, and then she ignores it, and then she has like sort of a moral awakening when she's like, it is cruel to do this to a thing that can feel pain and understands what's going on, and so we shouldn't do this to Space Blob, and therefore I should try to save Space Blob. But then she goes back to just being like twatty and cunty again, and she still is like, I kind of thought, I'll be honest, I thought this was going to end a little bit like Vampire Dog, where where Space Baby would like give her like the bewitched nose twitch and she'd be cured of MS or whatever she has. And it doesn't. It's just sort of like back to dying, I guess. Okay, I saw a Space Baby, and then she just drives off into nothingness and the episode ends, and I was just like, the fuck just what? I don't know, Matt. What were your vibes after watching this insane? Legally, we have to call it television, I guess.
There were pictures that moved with sounds.
They said things. They said some more things. There were blinking lights. I felt soothed.
The science aspect wasn't horrible.
I mean, that's something.
Yeah.
I feel like Ger did his best.
I have nothing bad to say about Ger. I
think
the
acting
subtext.
wise,
yeah, they
everybody
were fine.
did fine.
Yeah, it's just the
They weren't
script,
asked for a lot.
The plot, the setting.
But everything else.
The words that they had to say were disconcerting.
Yeah.
The gum baby they had to look at was upsetting.
This was the problem with these shows like Outer Limits and Twilight Zone, where they try to tackle these huge things in this really tiny little vignette. Is there's absolutely no way to cover all of your asses.
Yeah.
You can't sew up every hole.
Yeah.
Unless you're really, really good at it.
Yeah.
And the odds of having someone who's really, really good at it are pretty slim.
Pretty small.
Yeah, especially in the 90s when you're like, well, she's a woman. How
Yeah.
much do we really need to explain?
It did feel like that was, I mean, I don't think that I'm crazy for saying that the subtext, one of the subtexts of this was like, it's only women who are experiencing these hallucinations. It's women who are having these visions, and we don't really believe women. We don't believe emotional people in science, and
Yeah.
women are emotional people, and therefore we don't believe women in science.
It's because of our connection, our mystical motherhood connection.
Oh shit, my eyes roll back and it's on my brain again. But I mean, that's kind of, I mean, they,
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
The like, oh no, all women are destined to be mothers, and therefore all women are connected through babies and their uteruses. Our uteruses just like reach out and touch each other when we get too close to each other. It's a known fact.
Well, thank God.
That's why we're not allowed to hang out in groups.
Thank God our chairs are far enough away that my uterus can't reach across and give you a handshake.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I did, like, I will say that most of this episode, I didn't hate it. It wasn't like Other Women's Children where I was gripping the arms of the chair going, make it end. Why am I doing this to myself? But like, I did like the subtext that I thought it was interesting. I don't remember ever seeing a program where there was clearly intended subtext, like not like fans interpreting like, you know, glances or whatever, but clearly intended subtext that was never at all, like never met the text, never like touched the text. And I was like, that's really interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that before in a program or in a movie even, where it's like you clearly intended that they had a relationship and the relationship ended because she was like, I am sick from something and I am going my own way now and I have to close myself off from human emotional experiences. And you are a human emotional experience, and so therefore, like, you're dead to me. Fuck off and die forever. Like,
And it was just added for backstory.
and it was just
no significance to the plot.
It just kind of explains how he knew who knew shit.
Yeah, well, and maybe it is significant to the plot in that she's having a mini stroke. So I feel like it is sort of significant in that her character has to be
That
hard.
sentence got away from you.
Her character has to be hard and emotionless the entire time, and I feel like this is maybe meant to like explain what's going on.
I am listening.
What? Yeah, no,
it's meant to explain what's going on.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's meant to explain how she gets to be this hard person. Like it's meant to give her context. So she's not a person who's a hard bitch who then got sick and became a harder bitch. It's that she was a more human, open, caring person. She had a relationship with someone. She allowed herself to have relationships with people. Then she gets sick, and then she has to like take herself away from the human relationships because she feels like she can't afford to have that. And so she's very hard. And when Garrett calls her back, she's like, well, I'm coming back for like a job. I'm not coming back for you. But I need work. I need something to focus on other than my illness.
Yeah, it's got to be interesting.
Yeah. And she comes to the work and she still has to be hard. So every time Roy tries to interact with her, she's like, I cannot engage with you the way you want me to engage with you because I can't have the human relationships. Like I have closed that door. I have shut it. And I am hard, and I'm all science now, and like that is the only way that I can do this job and live the rest of the life that I have left is to not have the warmth of human souls anywhere near me.
Yeah, because she keeps saying, I'm not going to solve all the problems I wanted to solve.
Yeah,
I'm not going to get all the stuff done that I wanted to get done.
Yeah, like the clock is ticking for me. And maybe that's why she throws away the pictures of her and Ger because it's sort of like these.
I'm not getting that back.
I can't. Yeah, I can't allow myself to have these things, and these things are the interpersonal aspects of life, like the living
and
part
the
of life.
temptation to even think about it.
Yeah, thinking about it is too painful. I can't have these things anymore. They're not open to me. So like, why do I even have these photographs? Like they hurt too much. I'm going to keep the science picture, the like all of us in our lab coats picture, because that is success. That is tangible success that I got in my career, and my career is what I have. Not an emotional human life. I have the career. Like that's the choice I had to make. That was made for me.
Yeah.
And that now this is what I have. And so then when Space Baby is like, please help me. I need like no one else can hear me. No one else can see me. I can't reach out to anybody else. Like, please help me move on. Please help me get the peaceful death that I've been denied for 14 years. That's what cracks open the hard shell that she lives in.
Yeah.
And then helps her find that middle path between like too emotional, can't do any kind of a science job because you're just like off in your own world, and too hard and intractable and not open to any kind of human emotional experience. Like maybe he's like the nut that cracks her open.
Yeah.
A little bit. Like I feel like that's maybe where they want to go.
Probably.
But this episode is so fucking off the wall that it's hard to be like, yes, her emotional journey. It's more just like she's just touching Gum Baby now. All right, now she's going backwards in time. Here's a soul patch. Okay, all right. So in terms of rating,
because it can't even be death, because when Roy tries to just let it die, it fights back.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, his physical body can't die for his soul to pass on. It has to, like, it's like his soul is stuck from radiation, is like stuck inside his goo body, his gum body, and so gum body and soul have to together be sucked out of space and time.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head when you're like, it tries to do too much and it ends up in this like what the fuck middle zone.
I love these little shows as much as anybody else, but you can't accomplish.
Yeah.
This could be 5 or 6 episodes.
I see what you're trying to go for in terms of her emotional arc. I don't know that you're super successful in getting there. And if you hadn't, like, I feel like if they hadn't spent so much time about her just being such a stone cold bitch, like if they had shown more, if they had Ghost Baby show up to her earlier, then there would have been more time to show the progression of her being like, nope, I didn't see that. To like,
or even have more conversations with Ghost Baby.
Yeah.
Because Ghost Baby shows up and it's just like,
help me.
And she's like, okay, yes. Instead of being like, hi, I'm Sasha. I'm Gum Baby.
Yeah.
I can finally talk to somebody.
Yeah.
You, because
and her being like, this is a hallucination. You're not really here. You can fuck all the way off with everyone else who's in line to fuck all the way off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, well, if I was not a hallucination, would I be able to
kill Roy and explode him with my brain?
Kill Roy? She's like, I don't know, kill Roy and let's find out. This feels like a perk.
She really gives zero shits when Roy dies. Like she's more concerned that like it turns out that Gum Baby can emit tachyons and make purple haze and make time move forwards and backwards, and less concerned with, oh, by the way, when he did that, Roy exploded.
Yeah, she's like, I know you didn't need to do that.
That's justified because she was actually experiencing firsthand Roy killing her.
Yeah.
So you're saying she's mad at Roy?
She felt empathy towards Gum Baby for fighting back.
Yeah, but like they're like morally on the same side. Like she comes around to Roy's point of view after Roy explodes.
Yes. Not in time to tell Roy that she thought he was right or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Because as soon as she left, he dropped the clipboard and she was like, fuck off, Roy. And she just left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Like, that when at the very end, when it goes back to the beginning, that she does not say a single kind word to Roy and is like,
No.
nope, I'm a bitch again. Bye, peace out, dickheads. And then just walks out of the building.
I already have.
So I don't know. In terms of rating, so Matt, my rating system has been sloppy kisses out of 10 in terms of like an overall quality of the product. Rachel's rating has been raised eyebrows out of 5 because we can't be consistent in anything we do. But you've been doing it more in terms of like the Ger performance specifically,
Yes,
and
yeah.
I've been rating it as like how I feel about the overall property.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's hard for me to rate a Ger performance like on its own. Because I feel like he does a good job. Like he shows up and they're like, do a thing, and he's like, I'll do the thing, and he does the
it's hard
thing,
to
and
be
I'm
objective.
Yeah, I'm just yeah. So I'm like I'm happy with whatever he gives me. But like in terms of this overall program, I mean I keep going back to I like that subtext because I've never seen anyone do that before where the subtext is like absolutely there. It's not the audience making it up, but it's never addressed by the show. And it feels like the show is like we couldn't get to all the stuff we wanted to say. So like could you just look at these photos and know what we wanted to say?
Yes, thank you.
So I would give it, you know what? I'm going to give it like 6 sloppy wet kisses out of 10 just because I feel like it's worth it to watch. It's not boring. It's not like it's not painful to watch. Like when I watched Other Women's Children, I literally I had my fingers dug into the armchair and I was like, get through it. And for this was like fine. Like it's not the greatest thing that's ever been put to film, but like it was fine. But I really thought that was so interesting with all of the Ger makeout photos that they snuck in there. And I like that like the Ger makeout photos makes this in line with every other thing that Ger does, where he's like sex daddy.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, this character is not really sex daddy. He's got like a girlfriend, and they make the comment of he's a lazy dater. So if a woman's within 5 feet of him and he's single, like that's his new wife. Congratulations. But like otherwise, it doesn't really hit right. It doesn't really hit like all of the. I don't remember seeing any of the bemused raised eyebrows that he normally does.
He does once.
Does he do it once?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So we got one.
When he does that means
the
unexplained
URS,
radiation source, and she's like, thanks, I knew that. And he goes, you're welcome.
Yeah.
And he does like
does the raised eyebrow? Yeah.
I had to say that for the script.
Girl, did you like it when I scienced at you with my science?
Yeah, that was exposition. You're welcome.
So yeah, like 6 because I feel like his performance was fine. We got like in the subtext we got some of the things that we want from Ger, his characteristics, but like overall I didn't like it as much as the other Outer Limits episode, but like it was like fine.
Yeah, it's
but
fine.
like I would recommend it only for the subtext because that's just conceptually that's like a neat thing for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go 3 raised eyebrows out of 5. Because he was there and he did a good job with what he had, but we didn't get a lot of the usual. He got to be more Ger in the previous one because we got like him laying in bed with his wife. We got somebody telling him he was excruciatingly handsome. You know, the usual things that are written into his contract. But in this one, we didn't get that. And so it was mostly just like, I am science. I don't have a defined role here, except maybe administration. And I'm just going to show up long enough to take advantage of your work and then fire you when you seem unstable.
My role is to help the science move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he kind of only existed in context of the lab.
Yeah.
So he was fine. He did a fine job.
Yeah.
But I think it really felt like the other lady's the main character. You're just here to, renovate your living room.
The only way we get to the characteristics is with those photos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt, what would your rating system be?
I would give.
Is it
Oh no! It's
is it the tongue tornado? Is that what just happened to you?
I will give this 3 space-time dimensions out of 4. Because the science was decent, like grounded in real concepts.
I love our rating systems.
No, but that I feel like is definitely rare, especially in like a
90s
mystery of the week, a monster of the week type of program.
Especially like the kind of throwaway line just to like establish her credentials, her street cred
was relevant.
Was
actually establish her
a
street cred,
relevant
yeah.
physics principle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was a thing that we all watched and we all managed to get through emotionally. So yeah, thumbs up.
How was it you wanted to end it?
Oh, don't be a narc. Nobody tell him about this.
Until next time, friends.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.